Hello. Thanks for coming. Um, yes, I started recording and I stopped recording. I'm going to start again. Okay, so what have I got? I found in the basement a box, Paperclip 3. I really think it was the best word processor for the Commodore 64 and the 128. And, oh wow, it had, you know what? Now that I have my glasses here, maybe I'll put them on. 1750 RAM card compatible, 80 column editing. Oh, this is for the 128. Interactive spell checking with 1750 RAM card. Utilizes 1571. Disk drive burst mode. Mail merge, disk copy. Yeah, it was great. Built in 40,000 word spell checker. Fast, thorough spell checking. Expandable dictionary that you personalize. Anyway, yes, this was. Oh, look. Omni Magazine says the Cadillac of word processors. InfoWorld, an excellent word processor, well designed, many advanced features. What else? Best professional word processor available by Run Magazine. Anyway, it was great. I would like to think that Stephen Douglas, who wrote it, is still doing well, even though this is long ago. And I don't know what he's doing. I don't know where he is. But I'd like to think he made enough money way back when that he is doing quite fine. Commodore 60 or Commodore 128, blank disk required. Anyway, this is Paperclip 3, C128. Reverse side is a dictionary and printer files. This is Paperclip 3 for the 64. Dictionary, disk C64 on the reverse side. Indeed. Batteries included. 1987. Steve Douglas. Beautiful. These people, for a long time, I'll put this down here, had to get, or it came with a dongle thing. But they then decided, you know what, we're spending an awful lot of money building these things. So I think they ended up deciding it really isn't worth it. So, because I have glasses here, and because I can, I have this thing here, and this is to help keep my glasses on my head. The ultimate sort of nerd thing. I'll make sure I have this available for costuming. Maybe I need to put, maybe these glasses may not be quite the best ones for it. And I don't know how sizable this is. But I'm going to try this. I don't know if this is going to fit on my head or not. But anyway, um, I don't know. I guess I'll try. What can go wrong? Well, it may not go on my head. They don't have a whole lot of give, these things. It may be that I have to figure out how to stretch them out some. Oh yes, they are adjustable. Okay. Maybe I'll stretch them out some more. That still feels like it's gonna be pretty tight. Alright. Let's see here. Anyway, Paperclip by Stephen Douglas was marvelous. I started off on WordPro, and at some point I knew that WordPro sued Paperclip, saying that they had done things, but I think in the end it was decided they didn't. And it was kind of weird because we would have BBS get-togethers. That feels weird. Is this thing in my ear? Oh, it came off. Oh, dear. That didn't go well. We would have BBS get-togethers, and Steve Hunter and Stephen Douglas would be there, even though in the midst of it, in the midst of the court case, they were duking it out in court. Although that was, I guess, lawyers and things. Anyway, I don't know how it ended up. I should know, but I don't. All right, now Let's see. I've not really worn these things before. And this may be. Well, I really can't get the glasses into my ears, but anyway. I guess it's okay. I guess maybe it's better for even just sitting around. Anyway, so what else do I have here? Well, I have a travel tag, and it says Nortic BBS, David Bradley Sissop. Has the address, although that was home. And this would have been like on luggage and things. Not that I traveled a whole bunch. And this was before we needed the 416, so it just had the phone number, and that was, in fact, the number for a while of the bulletin board, but mostly it was mine. But one summer we took it home, and we set it up there. Now, it couldn't be on there all the time, because that was our home phone number, but we did that for a while. Anyway, and I would have got this done, this thing made, at one of the computer shows. It's funny, because they had these computer shows, and they said, oh, if you're not 18, you can't come. I was like, oh, no. Anyway, so this was made for me by somebody called Mega Mini, 32-bit computers for the power hungry. And Perkin Elmer was the name. And I mean, this, I have no interest in that, and I don't, whatever, but this was their thing that would get them advertising. So they would do this for people, and I still have it. So this too will go to the pet room. All right, let's talk about, because I have my glasses on, the TORPET. So, as I said, Bruce Beach had all these school buses. I guess they're still there. And buried in the ground for when the atomic war came, which, you know, I know back in the day, there were a lot of people who, there were bomb shelters and air raid shelters all over the world because it just was like, well, it's going to happen. Anyway, it was not all that long ago that Bruce Beach died. I think he was close to 90. And once in a while, there would be something on the news about him. And he lived in Hornings Mills, Ontario. And it says the TORPET is published by the publisher, imagine. Anyway, so what this says is the TORPET, summer 1986. Canada's Tomorrow Development Corporation has been moving full speed ahead since the last issue of the TORPET. In this issue, we'll be introducing you to some of the changes. RSI, Robotic Systems International, a company whose robot arms helped to raise the debris of the Challenger, has recently become part of Canada's Tomorrow family of companies. We've also put together a display for Expo 86, exploring both the forecasts and science fiction writers and the future of science. But for the most part, this issue is concerned with Canada's Tomorrow cadets, 29 young men and women who are training to live and learn aboard our research vessel, the Canada's Tomorrow. We take a look at how and why they were chosen, just what exactly they'll be doing, and we'll give you a chance to meet each of them. We think you'll be pretty impressed. If you are interested in becoming a cadet, or you know someone who is, there is a step-by-step process laid out for you on page 16. If you have any comments on this issue, positive or negative, please drop us a line. We'll be happy to hear from you. Given enough response, we'll run a letter column. Until next time, learn from yesterday, look to tomorrow. How moving and inspirational. Anyway, there are articles here introducing the robotic systems, or the RSI, Robotic Systems International, chemical instruments in the oceans. Expo 86, a journey to the edge of tomorrow. Frontier computer research. All kinds of magical things. And as I said, I found this in a what would now be a Service Canada office. I don't know what it was called then. Anyway, it's remember, this started as the TORPET, the TPUG, a publication of the Toronto Pet Users Group. Let's see. How to become a cadet. Perception Research, the role of the cadets, by Dr. R. Mills. Anyway, it's interesting. I wonder if I were to try and Google some of these people, if I could find them. Like Scott Anderson is 19 years old and comes to us from Orangeville, Ontario. He has his grade 12 diploma and joined Canada's Chamorro Discovery Corporation to travel and work on board a ship with the hopes of getting his radio officer certificate in the future. Scott is one of the cadet photographers. Oh, yeah. Anyway, there does seem to be a mixture of people here. Just looking to see if there's any names I might have read about some other time. Doing something else. Not really. Not really. Anyway, so yes, Bruce Beach wanted to be the one who survived the Armageddon, and then, as this one fellow said, this page is stuck. He then wanted to be kind of like Noah and have an ark, and it's come on. Oh, this page is stuck. I will do my best to preserve it. Okay, that went well. And it's funny, because if I look at this, let's go back to the beginning of the pages here. So on the first page, we have 3 men and 2 women. So that's 3 and 2. On the next page, we have 5 men. So that's 8 and 2. On the next page, we have another 3 and 2. So it's like 11 and 4. On this page, so it's 15 to 5. 19 to 6. Okay, so it's heavily male rather than female. But if this was really going to be like Noah's Ark for, after the Armageddon or whatever was going on, they'd need more women. 2 by 2 and all that stuff. Anyway, so inside this magazine was an article. Oh, now here, let's see here. Karen Morrison and Scott Gardner pose in Toronto. Now, are they part of this bunch in the magazine? I don't know. Karen Morrison is here. And did I mention Scott Gardner? Scott Gardner, there he is. Okay, there they are. So these were people in here. So here it is. It's a story from the Globe and Mail. I think it is, although I'm not sure. Metro. It says Metro. Maybe it's the Star. I don't know. Anyway. Lured by the promise of a free education in deep-sea robotics, 26 young Canadians have found themselves stranded on a remote naval base in Chile. The youths were supposed to be cadets on a $10 million research ship financed by scientific research tax credits from the Canadian government. But they have received almost no training in the past 3 months, and the ship is stuck in a Chilean shipyard. Other cadets who recently returned to Canada said most of the remaining 26 want to leave Chile but cannot afford the $1,000 airfare, and the research company refuses to pay the cost if they quit. One cadet tried repeatedly to get himself fired in order to get the airfare and finally succeeded when he and another cadet stole a Chilean flag, enraging the local authorities. A third cadet returned home after wiring for money from her parents. Everyone's going nuts down there, said Karen Morrison, one of the 2 cadets who managed to return to Toronto last week thanks to their flag-stealing prank. We haven't learned anything. There's lots of drinking because the alcohol is cheap. The federal government gave $50 million in tax credits to private investors who had spent only $22 million to purchase the credits from the research company, Canada's Chamorro Discovery Corp. the tax credit program launched in 1981 to stimulate scientific research in Canada, was cancelled after... What's this? I guess so. After cost Ottawa close to $2.5 billion in lost revenue. Excuse me. Stanley Roberts, a former president of the company, says the research ship is being converted into a showboat to exhibit products which have nothing to do with high technology or deep-sea research. Company founder Bruce Beach insists that the ship will eventually spend most of its time on ocean research, but he confirmed that he is planning to dock the ship in foreign ports to display and promote a wide range of products. These products could include a variety of consumer goods, Mr. Beach said in an interview. We'll talk to anybody. We will extend our product line and have more things on display. We are interested in affiliating with large companies which have products. If a bank came along, I might be interested. Ms. Morrison said the cadets were impressed by slick brochures promising free education in underwater robotics and marine biology. They were told they would travel on the ship for 4 months, learning new skills, and their university tuition would be paid by the company. It sounded almost too good to be true. The research vessel was supposed to leave the Chilean shipyard in April, arriving in Vancouver for the opening day of Expo 86 in May. But the renovation and inspection of the ship have been delayed, and the company says it now hopes to have the ship in Vancouver by late July. Mr. Roberts says a shortage of money makes even this an impossible target. The cadets, meanwhile, have become disillusioned with Mr. Beach. We feel he's pulled a fast one on us, Miss Morrison said. He's really manipulated us. Most of the cadets are planning to abandon the ship when it reaches Vancouver, she said. A lot of them are just going to take off. The company is paying the cadets $20 a week, plus room and board at a Chilean naval barracks. They also receive special uniforms, and Mr. Beach ordered them to practice paramilitary drills. They look like Dickie D ice cream uniforms, Ms. Morrison said. We don't understand what the uniform has to do with research. Elizabeth Walker, another who returned to Canada, said the cadets were expected to become hosts for visitors who toured the exhibits after the ship arrived in Vancouver. We weren't impressed with that. She said Mr. Beach tried to organize a paramedics course, but there was lack of classroom space and materials. We'd been told to show up for a lecture, and we'd show up and the classroom wasn't available. We'd hang around all day. It really got tedious. Nothing was happening. We felt exploited. The cadet said Mr. Beach also instructed them to read books on Eastern mysticism and cosmic consciousness. Scott Gardner, the other perpetrator of the flag-stealing prank, who returned to Toronto with Miss Morrison last week, said he visited the ship almost every day and found no signs of research equipment. I've been all over the ship and the warehouse, and there's no research equipment there. The cadet said Mr. Beach refused to provide a plane ticket to a cadet whose father had died. It went downhill from there, Mr. Gardner said. The cadets who returned to Canada said they were worried about the company's plans to recruit more cadets. It is sending brochures to schools and manpower centers in an effort to recruit several dozen. Mr. Roberts said he resigned as president of the company in March to protect his reputation when it became clear that Canada's Tomorrow was no longer intending to use the ship primarily for research. He said the company is spending $2 million to convert the ship into a showboat designed to resemble a Star Trek spaceship. Mr. Beach said the correct figure is only $100,000 and denied that his ship has become a Star Trek showboat. He acknowledged, however, that it's certainly designed to have that kind of appearance. Mr. Beach said he changed the philosophy of his company several months ago and now is hoping to obtain permission for the ship to display products at ports in Japan, Hong Kong, and anywhere in the Pacific Basin, while flying the ocean traveling between trade shows. The ship would conduct its research. We try to be in the right place at the right time. We can probably do our research work wherever it's convenient. Mr. Roberts said the company hired a team of designers to convert the center of the ship into a colorful exhibit area, like a miniature version of a state fair. The research equipment is being cast aside and forgotten. None of it is being hooked up. He said he received a telephone call from a salesman from Canada's Commodore who was trying to sell exhibit space on the ship. The space is being sold to any company regardless of its products, Mr. Roberts said. Mr. Beach, a native of Kansas who moved to Canada in 1970, said his company is seeking a marriage with companies that work in deep-sea robotics, high technology, artificial intelligence, or computers. He is also interested in a joint venture with any financially large company which might want to diversify or exhibit its products. Asked about companies that sell ordinary consumer products, Mr. Beach said, "We're talking to them as well. All things are possible." He recently spent 2 weeks in China, Japan, and Hong Kong searching for new partners. Several scientists and researchers have said that the large ship is unnecessary for the kind of research proposed by Mr. Beach. His company bought the 120-meter cargo ship, which is larger than any non-military ocean research ship in North America, from British owners for $2.8 million US. The refit at a Chilean shipyard was supposed to cost $7 to $9 million. Mr. Beach, a survivalist who built Canada's largest fallout shelter near his home in Hornings Mills, Ontario, is now hoping to launch the ship in late June. But the shipyard in Chile will not allow the boat to leave until the bills are paid. The ship is being inspected by the Canadian Coast Guard and a certification agency, Mr. Beach said, and if the inspection order him to install more equipment, he might be unable to pay the final cost. He said he is optimistic, but he cannot be certain of raising enough money. All I can say is wait and see. I certainly can't make predictions. If the cost is too high, I'll have a problem. The inspectors have put requirements on it like no ship in history. He added, when they say do it, we don't know how much it will cost. The inspection was supposed to take 30 days, he says, but it's already gone on for 45 days. Mr. Roberts, a former vice president of Simon Fraser University and president of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce before joining Mr. Beach's company, said the ship has no chance of meeting the target date for leaving Chile. There's no money in sight to pay for it. There's no possible way that Canada's Commodore can get the ship out of the yard. Mr. Roberts is one of the several officials who quit Canada's Commodore or were dismissed by Mr. Beach. Captain Ivor Williams, the company's skipper until his dismissal last summer, has written to the Federal Revenue Department, which supervised the tax credit program, to complain about the company's activities. Stephen Scott, a University of Toronto geologist who was serving as the company's chief scientist, resigned earlier this year. Pelly Shafto, personnel director and organizer of the cadet program, left the company last summer. A Toronto law firm has also severed its ties with Mr. Beach. Now, is that all? Yes, that's all. So, I do not know all that went on. I didn't really know much at the time. And I'm sure I read that article years ago, but certainly from the sounds of it. Oh, yes. I have nerd things behind me here. From the sounds of it, there was not, well, I can't say for sure that things were not on the up and up, but they did seem how would I put it? like they did sniff of some other ulterior motives. Like, oh yes, go get some paramilitary training so we can defend ourselves in case somebody tries to get on the ship and steal our Charmin or whatever. Yeah. I wonder how many more of these magazines exist and how many other issues there are. I don't remember exactly when the TORPET and TPUG went their separate ways. I really didn't hear anything about this until I saw this magazine here, and I really haven't followed up. And as I say, it wasn't all that long ago that, as they said, the survivalist, Mr. Beach, died. But from what I know, his school buses are still in the ground, and there are people who I think have paid to have a spot in there in case things go south. Anyway, it does sound like a little hocus pocus was going on. And maybe if I'm so inclined when I have a moment, maybe I'll try and look up more on this whole fiasco. And I guess now, because it's now, 37 years later, I guess these cadets now would be, maybe between 50 and 60, or maybe even a little more. I wonder if they have any exciting thoughts to share on their experience on this. Well, it sounds like they were never really out on the ship. Oh dear, little messages come through. Anyway, well, that's about all I have to say about that. I think I am going to now see about digging up a working 64, etc., and testing out these disk drives. I believe I shall. And maybe I'll test out this harness. It's been a long time. And of course, I have to continue to go back to the basement and get more stuff out for the recycling. I do. So, thanks for coming. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes. And if you know anything about the TORPET and whatever went on, please let me know. Fascinating to see I'd like to think a well-intentioned manipulator. And not a crook. But I don't know. I just don't know how it all played out. I don't. Anyway, I think I need to charge the phone, maybe eat a little something, and carry on. So thanks for coming. Stay tuned. We'll see if these drives were worth the Doritos. Bye for now.